fall injuries as well.
Dr. Christopher Colbert from the University of Illinois says emergency room visits for home improvement accidents are spiking.
Electrical concerns that you have at home or the plumbing issues that you have at home, and you're on YouTube identifying how to fix it, and sometimes things can go awry.
Overdoing it around the house is enough of an issue that Dr. Colbert made it a talking point during this week's presentation with the American College of Osteopathic Emergency Physicians.
This is the only ER conference that was not canceled due to COVID. And so we went virtual. So that's why we're addressing these concerns specifically this time, because we're discussing COVID, the things that we see during this time.
Let's talk to Dr. Chris Colbert. He's the Assistant Program Director of the Emergency Medicine Residency Program at the University of Illinois, Chicago. Good morning. Thank you for being with us, Doctor.
Sally, good morning. Thank you for the invitation.
First, let's talk about just how worried is the medical community about seeing a surge in COVID cases?
Well, it's always a concern in reference to you want to mitigate your transmission. So as more groups continue to meet, there's an increased risk of transmission in any capacity.
So we saw about 20,000 people at Union Park alone yesterday. What do you say to those people who have been out there in groups like that? Should they be quarantining themselves?
Ideally, those individuals should quarantine themselves. It's extremely important in reference to anyone protesting or demonstrating to wear a mask, to bring hand sanitizer with you, and as best you can to maintain between 3 to 6 feet of social distancing while protesting or demonstrating.
Joining us live to talk about this really critical issue right now is Dr. Chris Colbert from the Emergency Medicine Residency Program at UIC. So, Doctor, welcome.
Good morning.
What are you telling parents right now? Because every parent has a different decision to make. Every school district right now is different as well. So what are you saying to parents?
And that's an excellent point, because everyone has a different scenario, and their school is doing something different. My suggestion is always that as long as the school is abiding by guidelines and suggestions from the CDC, as well as the American College of Pediatrics, you can mitigate the transmission of the virus. Everything is a reference to exposure and contact. So for those schools that are specifically ensuring that the distance of the desks are different, they're limiting the amount of school for students. My children, for example, are going to school Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for half days. That will significantly mitigate the transmission of the virus.
With Gabby Road, with Hannah, Fred, and Justin, thrilled to get to be with each other and with you guys on Sundays between 11 and 1. Joining us right now is Dr. Chris Colbert, which is his preferred.
Hello, everyone.
It is the actual pronunciation, although he's very open to Colbert. So that's what we established during the break. He is an emergency medicine doctor at the University of Illinois, and we appreciate his time. I did want to you said that you guys in emergency medicine in general were finding ways to triage differently so that other people who are coming in for just random things, cardiac issues, or a nail through the thumb, which we could Dr. Colbert will talk to us about in a minute. Those are things that those people don't necessarily have to wait in the same waiting room with the people who have COVID type symptoms. So because I've been saying to my kids 27 times a day at least, please don't get hurt. We can't go to the ER. So is that something that would put them at greater risk, or are typically, is that been changed?
Well, that is fair to say, because people that are concerned about COVID go to the emergency room. So there's a more of an increased risk of being exposed to someone who is COVID positive. Mm-hmm. So what a lot of hospitals have done is made accommodations, whether they have a tent on the outside of their emergency room and or a different room in which someone presents and states they have shortness of breath, or they have a cough, or they have a fever. They're positioned to a different area of the ER so that we can distance the patients that come in with URI symptoms versus someone that comes in because they fell or because they could have a possible appendicitis or because they have a problem with maybe they have a headache. We can kind of separate those individuals to decrease the risk of picking up COVID in the ED.
These areas that there are increased rates of COVID-19, I would suggest to maybe rethink traveling to those quote-unquote hot areas at this time. It's not a full don't go, but at this time, maybe caution and possibly delay that destination to any specific area that has a noted increased incidence of COVID-19.
That's ER Dr. Chris Colbert talking about traveling during the pandemic.
Tell us every day you walk into the ER, you face the unknown, but since the pandemic, you sort of know that no matter what that day, you will be facing down the belly of the beast when you walk in those doors. How do you deal with all that mentally? I'm sure the listeners would like to hear your take on that.
Well, the beauty of emergency medicine is that there's just a potpourri of health, a variety of management options, great pathology. I've always been interested in biology, anatomy, and specifically when in the topic of emergency medicine, you get to see it all. You get to see psych, you get to see trauma, you get to see cardiology. Sometimes the days are a little bit tough, and it can be tough, and that's a part of being the emergency room. However, the good and the contribution that you can make to the community supersedes that. There are some really tough days, but there are some tough days, and that outshine those tough days are the really grateful days, the days where you affect change, the days where you can affect someone's life in a positive attribute, as well as the patients come in contact with you, and it's usually a refreshing engagement between two individuals, and it just brightens your day to see patients as well.